All right, so welcome tonight to Mindset Monday. My name is Jacqueline Roy. I'm a superstar director among amazing superstar directors on this call. We put this training on every week except for the last Monday of the month. That's restricted strictly for just a leadership chat we do for some higher levels. So the first 3 Mondays of the month, we do this. It's just a 30, 45 minute training. We hope to get your mind right for the rest of the week. Hope to get your mind on Cincy if you've had a crazy weekend. And tonight, I'm super, super excited about our guest. If you don't know Jason, you will after tonight, and you will love him. He is full of energy. When I think of Jason, I truly just smile. And I know that's not just me. Jason didn't pay me to say any of this, by the way. He truly is. He's authentic. He's fun. He's full of life. I think he's wore every hat with Cincy. I think when I first met him, he even dabbled in like consultant support. He
Mhm.
went to compliance, got fired from that pretty quickly. He has done training. He's worked. He could tell you his compliance story. It's actually really funny. No, but he has worn a lot of hats in Cincy, and he's been in Cincy since the beginning. He's kind of the heart of Cincy. He is, when I asked him about getting on, he was like, heck yeah, I'll get on. One time when I was trying to find another leader in Cincy to get on our training because they had forgotten or they were late, I texted Jason for her cell phone and he was like, I can get on if you need me to. Like, just very willing to help. He's got a willing spirit, willing heart, and he's incredible. So I'm super excited, Jason, that you're on tonight. So you have the floor.
Gosh, that is so kind. Thank you, Jacqueline. I sent you a little message. Could you make me a panelist so I can share my screen? I have just a couple of little slides to share. So great to be with you. Jason Harwood, for those I haven't met, yeah, I've been with Sensi for a long time. I first started in 2008. In September, I celebrated 15 years as a Sensi consultant. And yeah, hello to everybody. Hello, Peg from Jersey. Good to see you. And my first role at Sensi was as a compliance manager. That did not last long because I was no good at that. Hey, Joy from Saskatoon. My daughter's currently in Winnipeg. She spent some time in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. So yeah, lived in the Peg for 4 years. She's there now, my daughter. So luckily I got into consultant training and I've been there for a long time and have been so blessed to learn from so many incredible leaders and just try my very best to try to listen and learn from inspiring people who have done so many incredible things. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about this idea of mindset. It's a topic that I love. I'm passionate about it. I do quite a bit of reading and study about it. I don't know. Right now, I'm reading a book called Authentic Happiness by Martin Seligman. This is an old book. It's like 2002, something like that, called Authentic Happiness. But Martin Seligman is known as the father of positive psychology. And so this is just a topic that I'm interested and fascinated in and spend a lot of time trying to better understand. And it's funny because I think I spend a lot of time trying to read and understand it, mostly to help myself because, um, you know, we uh, people always say like, "I bet you're so much fun. Oh, I bet you're so exciting and stuff," and I'm like, ah. You'd probably be surprised, because this is like when I do this. This is what I love to do. This is, like then they talk about finding flow and finding joy. This is what I love doing, and so you guys see me at my absolute best. But I struggle with always being that positive and upbeat. And I had an experience recently with my daughter that taught me a lot and reminded me of some powerful principles about this. This is my daughter. Her name's Amber. She's a senior this year in college, in high school. I'm sorry, senior this year in high school. This is her at the end of last year as a junior. She plays softball. This weekend, I was at a little college up in Washington that has some interest in her as a potential college softball player. So it's kind of exciting. And uh, they have a kind of a tradition for home games where at the end of a home softball game, the game will end and they'll give them about 5, maybe 10 minutes to come and chat with family members before the coach calls them and says, okay, let's meet out in left field and talk about whatever they need to talk about. And oh my gosh, the greatest day of my life was when Amber got her driver's license, because nothing is worse than sitting. No offense, but you sit for 2 hours at a softball game, and then the coach wants to talk with them for like 45 minutes, and then they gotta like prep. If it's a home game, then they gotta take the bases off and rake the field and all this stuff, and you're just like, oh my word. So when she got her driver's license, that was the best, because as soon as the coach says, okay, let's meet, and she would run off to left field, I could hop in my car and leave. So she had played a home game and the game had ended, and to be totally honest, it was not her best game. She went hitless that game, 0 for 3, maybe 0 for 4, I can't remember, but but it was not a good game for her at the plate. And she had come back, and I was standing there waiting. She had talked with her mom and a couple other friends and people who were there and stuff. And then she walked up to me, and first thing she said to me is, "My hitting is terrible right now. I can't hit anything." And I was sort of stunned a little bit, because she is not one who typically lacks confidence. She is a very confident. If you think of redheaded children and you think of every stereotype of a redheaded child, Amber has it. She is feisty. She is like in your face. She holds her own. I mean, she is tough. And it was one of the first times ever where she walked up and said something like that. My hitting is terrible. I can't hit a thing. And I was sort of taken aback. I didn't quite know what to say, because I mean, I could have been like, "Oh no, you were fine today." She wasn't. She had gone hitless that day. And so I was sort of taken aback, and I said, "Well, yeah, well, not spectacular." And all of a sudden the coach says, um, "Hey, time to meet out in left field," and boom, off she goes running. And so I was happy, and I went to my car and went home, and I thought, okay, I've got a little bit of time to prepare for her to come home, because this was on a Friday. She had another game Monday. And what I knew was that behavior follows belief. We tell ourselves, we have beliefs about ourselves and about the world around us. Those beliefs inspire stories that we tell ourselves. And based off of those stories, we take action. And so if she goes into the next game with the belief and the story that I'm terrible at hitting, I can't hit anything right now, whatever side of hitting is mental, she's lost it. Yogi Berra was famous for saying, hitting is 90% mental, the other half is physical. Um, if you know Yogi Berra. If you don't know Yogi Berra, look up Yogi Berra and you'll understand hitting is 90% mental, the other half is physical. He said all sorts of stupid things like that. But whatever part of the game was mental, she was not there for the next game Monday. Now, this story is all about running a Scentsy business, really. I mean, you could apply this story to just about anything, but it is all about running a Scentsy business, because there's a percentage of the Scentsy business. I don't know what that percentage is, but there is a percentage of running your Scentsy business that is mental. It is belief driven. It is confidence driven. It is the story you tell yourself driven. What's the story you're currently telling yourself about follow up? What's the story you're currently telling yourself about hosting parties or getting people to host parties? You might be saying in your head the same thing my daughter was saying. I, man, I can't get somebody to host a party for the life of me. Nobody wants to host parties. Trying to get people to host parties is a total waste of time. Okay, that story is then going to drive your next set of behaviors. And I'm not honestly going to spend too much time talking about whether or not people can book parties. I will tell you that lots of people do. And yeah, Delinda says, I said that out loud today. I can't give a kid away. Nobody wants to join right now. I have heard people as successful as Delinda saying things like that all the time. People who have successfully recruited for years, all of a sudden saying, man, I don't have it today, or I can't do this right now, It is just not working for me. And so we all get into that place. And so I was sort of preparing for what I was going to say to my daughter when she came home. I had been doing some reading recently in a sort of there's an old time writer. His name's Samuel Johnson. I'll show you his name here in a second. And he's an old English writer, a long time ago. I don't know. And he wrote essays, and he wrote an essay called On Sorrow, Sorrow, On Sorrow. And he kind of uses the word sorrow. We would probably use words like negative self-talk. We would use words like negative mindset, limiting beliefs, um, kind of being in that negative mental space, the negative mental space that my daughter was in at the time. He just called it sorrow, on sorrow. And he taught this sort of interesting principle that most human emotions or drives have an easy solution. So, like if you're hungry, thirsty, tired, or afraid, there's this sort of easy, natural solution. You're hungry, you eat. You're no longer hungry. You're thirsty, you drink. You're no longer thirsty. You're tired. You I don't know, put the kids to bed early or something, take a nap, something, and you're no longer tired. And if you're afraid, we know that you either fight or flight, and or freeze, and that's you have your response to fear. But sorrow, he said, is different. What's interesting about sorrow, listen to how he talks about it in this essay called On Sorrow. Samuel Johnson, he says, sorrow is the state of mind in which our desires are fixed upon the past without looking forward to the future. My daughter was in that place. An incessant wish that something were otherwise than it has been, a tormenting and harassing want of some enjoyment or possession we have lost. You can just tell from that paragraph, this guy does not, he's not modern. Like he just uses language. You can just tell, but man, it sure is good. Fixed upon the past without looking to the future, incessant wish that something were otherwise than it has been. How often do we find ourselves in that type of position? Thinking about the past, wishing that things were different than they had been, tormenting and harassing ourselves. Most often we do it to ourselves. Most often our greatest tormentor or harasser is our own mind for some possession or want of some enjoyment we have lost. The safe and general antidote against sorrow is employment. And he doesn't mean getting a job. He means taking action, activity, just doing. Sorrow is a kind of rust of the soul, which every new idea contributes in its passage to scour away. It is the putrefaction of life and is remedied by exercise and motion. And I find this to be true for me personally. Again, that guy, his name's Samuel Johnson. Because you see, when we're hungry, we eat. When we're thirsty, we drink. When we feel ourselves often in negative self talk or self doubt or difficulty, often what we do is we go in the opposite direction. We tend to stop. Um, like I have a couch upstairs in our bonus room, and it is kind of the couch that you can kind of sink into, and it's dark up in the bonus room. And there have literally been times where I just get into a state of mind, and all I want to do is go sit in that bonus room, almost be enveloped in that couch, turn the lights off, sit there in sort of both mental and physical darkness, and just that rust of the soul. You just kind of sit there. And sadly, when we get into that state, we take that approach, we're taking the opposite action. It would be almost as if we tried to deal with hunger in that way. If you got hungry and you just sat there and thought, my gosh, I can't believe that I haven't eaten yet. Fixed upon the past without looking to the future. I sure wish I had eaten an hour ago. man, my life would be so much better. Why am I so stupid as to not have eaten an hour ago? I can't believe I'm that dumb that I didn't eat an hour ago. Like I'm a total failure. I can't even bother to be eating. What kind of low life am I? Right? We would never do that with hunger. We know if you're hungry, take forward moving actions, go eat something. But we often find ourselves in a state like Delinda mentioned of, man, I can't give a kid away. And so, man, we tend to go inside and we sometimes go into a mental um sort of slowing down and fixation upon the past. And oftentimes our actions follow that mental approach to where our actions slow. And as he said, it is the putrefaction of life. I had to look up what that word meant. Um, it's not good. It's not good. You can tell from the word putrefaction. That's not like a good word. You're not thinking, man, I could use some putrefaction up in my life. No, and it is remedied by exercise and motion. So, what did I tell my daughter to do? She got home that night, and I said, hey, let's just accept what today was. Today was not a great day in the box. And I said, you have another game Monday. And only one thing will help you, and that is getting your mind back to a place of positive, forward moving results. So I said, you need to text your coach right now and say, Coach, can I meet you tomorrow at the hitting facility? They have this little indoor hitting facility. Can I meet you tomorrow at the hitting facility and start with the tee and just kind of hit off the tee a little bit and then have your coach. And so she texted a teammate of hers, and luckily the coach was kind enough. And on a Saturday morning, she got up early, grabbed her bat and her hitting stuff, and met the coach at the hitting facility. And for the next little bit, and she would even met her the next day. And so for the next 2 days, she spent some time just getting back to hitting off the tee, hitting off of coach pitch, getting to a place where she felt better, confident. She was, getting back into the motion, feeling the bat hit the ball, seeing the bat hit the ball, getting into that place of like, okay, now I'm ready. And then boom, Monday came and that game came. To be perfectly honest with you, I can't remember how she hit on Monday. But I do know that going into that game Monday, I know she didn't go over. I think she got one or two hits that game, and so she was, you know, at the end of that game, she didn't say I can't hit at all. But I do know that going into that game Monday, she was in a better mental place for having taken action because action drives our behavior more than our action drives our, sorry, not our behavior. Action and behavior are almost synonyms. Action drives our mindset and our thoughts much more so than thoughts and mindset drive action. Um, Mel Robbins talks about this in 5 4 3 2 1. It's kind of the premise of her whole thing, the 5 second rule, which is that when we become adults, sometimes we think we should feel it before we do it. I'm not feeling it, so I'm not going to do it. And Mel Robbins teaches just the opposite. You do, and then you start to feel, right? And that's similar to what Samuel Johnson was saying. The safe and general antidote against sorrow is employment. The remedy is exercise and motion. You get yourself in motion. You get yourself moving and taking action. And now I feel different than I did before. See, my daughter hadn't hit in any more games either Saturday or Sunday before going into Monday. She had done no more indicators of success, but she had taken motion. She had taken action. She hadn't allowed herself to just sit for 2 days and stew on how terrible of a hitter she was. I knew that wasn't going to help her coming into Monday. And so there's some specific action that we can take in sort of a similar way. We can kind of identify and say, okay, where are some areas I can be intentional about? I can be intentional about the first thing I do every single morning. Most often we can control that. And if some mornings I allow myself to sleep to the point where I don't control first thing in the morning, because first thing in the morning is now I gotta rush and be crazy to get ready in time to drop my youngest daughter off at school before I head into work. But I try not to allow that to happen. I try to get up early enough that I can control the first thing in the morning. And for me, a couple of things really help me, especially when I'm in a negative place. But I do some meditation. Just you can even just Google search. It's called box breaths. It means you breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, and pause for 4 counts. So you kind of imagine a box on your chest, and it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, out 1, 2, 3, 4, pause 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go through that mental box. And just doing that for a few minutes, that's a great first thing in the morning. Or if you do some movement, if you just Google on YouTube, if you just look up on YouTube 10-minute yoga, you will get dozens of hits of 10-minute yoga. There's some great, I've done, you know, few dozen 10-minute yoga routines in the morning just to kind of start my day there. Start my day with some motion, some movement, get myself going, get myself into a space. Usually with yoga, they're also playing some, they sort of mix meditation and that yoga movement together. So, but control the first thing that you do in the morning. Write in a gratitude journal. That's one that I have used a lot. Right now, I'm writing last thing at night in kind of a gratitude journaling thing, but very often I have written first thing in the morning because, boy, that can really impact mindset. And then last thing at night. I do a couple of things at night. For some reason, I just decided to do one lesson of Duolingo French every day. So I've been doing it for like 2 years. I hardly speak a lick of French, but just something mental to do at night. And then I'm right now I'm writing in sort of a gratitude journal at night. And I don't know, it's kind of weird. I do weird things, but every once in a while I'm like, I should work on learning some poetry. So in my book, my bookmark is this poem, my poem of the month that I'm working on, which is "Nothing Gold Can Stay" by Robert Frost. Um, so anyway, I'll do a little reading, a little poetry, a little journaling last thing at night. Um, before I ever, this is really good for business. Before I ever is a great mindset tactic to use because you might decide, okay, I really got to get in. Follow up's a great example. I really got to get in on follow up. Okay, before I ever scroll Instagram, I'm always going to send at least one follow-up message. I can control that. That's like hitting off of the tee. It's just, I have full control over that. Before I ever turn on the TV at night, I'm always going to send two follow-up messages. Before I ever, I don't know, eat ice cream or pick something that you do real consistently and say, okay, before I ever do that, I'm always going to send two follow-up messages. This just gets you moving on your Scentsy business. It's just a small thing that you can do every single day. The fastest, easiest way to get more PRV is through follow-up, and it leads to so many other great things. It leads to parties, it leads to recruiting opportunities. And so that's great. Every time this is another great way to control things. It's like hitting off of, coach pitch. You can control this every time and you just get the feel of the bat hitting the ball. Every time somebody orders 50 PRV, I'll offer them to join. This month in particular, it's great because I think there's a join kit for less than $50. So somebody puts in a $50 order and you say, every time you say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're one of my favorite customers. I just want to let you know, do you know for less than what you're about to spend, you could start your own Scentsy business? Here's what you'd get in the kit. You put this $50 order in under yourself, you're going to get 20% back. And if you've ever thought of having a fun side business, this is a great opportunity for you. And most times they're going to say no, that's okay. It's just the practice of just doing that every single time. Get yourself in motion, get yourself moving every time somebody puts a $50 order. And then what do you do every time you have something good happen? We're far too reluctant to celebrate great actions, but every time you do something good, even as positive and powerful as getting on this call tonight, you just end and say, yes, I did it. I'm awesome. Way to go. I'm amazing. And celebrate yourself. And then when something bad happens, eat a piece of chocolate and be on your way. But these are some of the things that we can do to start to control the action in our lives, to get into that batting cage and just ensure that we're taking action. The first thing I do, the last thing I do, before I ever. And if you're kind of struggling right now, and if you're like, man, I cannot seem to get any momentum going in your business, I'd start with follow up. If you don't already have the Sensi Connect app, download the Sensi Connect app. If you do have it, just say, okay, every day before I ever look at Instagram or Facebook or X or I don't know what else is out there, TikTok, whatever, something that whatever you look at. Just say, before I ever do that, I'm always going to send one follow-up message, two follow-up messages. Doesn't need to be big. Just hit off the tee. Just get yourself in motion. Just get a little movement going with your Scentsy business. And pretty soon, positive emotion follows movement. So, um, yeah, a couple of tactics to help you the next time you find yourself in that same exact position of, man, I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I don't know if I'm that good at Scentsy. I don't know if I can be successful. I'm nervous, anxious, scared. What Samuel Johnson would call sorrow. Just remember, putting yourself in action will solve that as quickly as anything. And so just give yourself a couple rules and say, I feel that coming on. I got to get back to a little bit of meditation and yoga every morning because I know that helps me. I feel that coming on. I got to get back to two follow-ups before I ever look at Instagram every day because I know that puts me in motion. And pretty soon you'll see the impact on your mindset. Okay, I haven't stayed up with the chat very well, but it looks like some great suggestions on things. Yeah, and Heather mentions YouTube, tons of short early morning movement things. If you say, 10-minute meditation in YouTube, 10-minute yoga in YouTube, 10-minute uplifting, there's lots of great things in there. And then the second powerful thing that happens is that YouTube starts to realize that that's what you like to listen to. And so then it will actually start feeding you that into your algorithm. And then YouTube becomes a better place for you because it only feeds you what you want to watch normally. So yeah. Okay. You guys are amazing. We're very grateful for you. Um, I I would not quite be doing my job if I didn't say I hope that if it's possible for you that you sign up for World Tour. We're going to have an incredible World Tour. Registration's open, and it's going to be spectacular. And so yeah, if it's possible, if that's something that you can fit into your life, hope to see you at World Tour.
Jason, you're so
That's
awesome.
Thanks. Jack Lance about his yeah, I've done Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. I've done that. Really, really good. Really good. Great book. Although like I would say it's a checkout from the library book because I did it on Audible and if you just believe it, if you just come in thinking like I think this could help me, you can skip 90% of the book because he spends a lot of time talking about why doing these things in the morning is so helpful for you. And if you're like, yeah, okay, I believe you. Um, you can read about two chapters of his book and be on your way. If you need convincing that it would do you good, then read the whole book.
I love it. And I think it's so important too, like Jason reiterated tonight, that, direct sales and working for yourself in general, it can be tough mentally. And we don't talk about the mental aspects of being your own boss, being a therapist, being a counselor, helping your customers, customer service. We wear a lot of hats and we have to take care of ourselves because if not, it's really easy to get in a negative headspace. So I love all the suggestions you gave because it's really easy. Just the other day, just like you said, Jason, I had said, man, I can't get a home party. I'm asking all my usuals and they're saying no. And, I think my next action should have been, okay, well, I'm going to find a yes. Let me message five more. What's it going to hurt? And so I think that if we remind ourselves that, you know, the only way to move forward when you hear those negative thoughts, like you said, is by taking some type of action. And that's so important. If you're getting those negative thoughts and you're curling into your comfy chair and you're not doing anything, I mean, you need a comfy chair, right? I want one of those comfy chairs you talked about. But,
Yeah.
if we're getting those negative thoughts and we're not doing anything about it, we're never going to get out of that negative headspace. But if you're taking some type of action moving forward, it's only going to be fruitful, right? For our mind, for our business. So this was so good. I needed to hear this too, Jason. So I'm so thankful that you came on tonight.
Thanks, Jacqueline. You're amazing.
Well,
And
you too, and we're all
we
gonna.
can't
You
even
don't know.
start. Like I was going to say a few names. I was going to say like, and so and so's, but literally, this has got to be like the greatest collection of Scentsy people I've been on in so long. My gosh, you just look through here and you're like, so many incredible leaders on here.
There's this is a rock star group right
I
here.
know. I
And
know.
you just helped us take a step forward with our business. So everyone, do you know which world tour group you get to go with yet? Can you disclose of that or no? Is it all kind of secret?
I do know, and I want to offer a an open invitation. I want to give everyone on this call tonight my personal individual invitation because I've had this opportunity once before. It was one of the most remarkable experiences of my entire life, and I will have the opportunity again. But I will be covering World Tour in Region 2. And so I would like to invite all of you to Brussels, Belgium
Ooh,
on February 3rd for World Tour there. You could also come on February 9th to Edinburgh, Scotland for a world tour there. Or I think the next Tuesday, whatever that is, to Manchester, England. Um,
I'm so sad for
all,
you right now. I'm so
all
sad
of
for you.
you. Or February 8th in Belfast, Ireland. So, yes,
That's awesome.
all of you, if all of you could please come to one of those places. It really is like, I feel so bad because, like, I just get to go on this trip to Netherlands, Belgium, Scotland, Ireland. I mean,
Yeah.
like, bucket list places that I've wanted to go to my entire life. And then all of a sudden, they're like, hey, we need you to go there. I'm like, okay, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
I'm,
2 years ago, Heidi and Orville were still there, and I got to go and I met them for lunch and had about a 3 hour lunch with Heidi and Orville. It was just like, it was like just the three of us just sitting there for like 3 hours chatting. It was the most incredible experience. And yeah, cruising around Europe.
amazing.
No.
I love it, Jason. You deserve to go.
Yeah, so all of you are invited, but
Love.
I know. I'm so sorry. I won't be coming to Canada. I saw Tulsa. I won't be coming there or Tacoma.
Why would you want to go to Belfast over Tulsa, Oklahoma, Jason? Come on.
Hey, I mean,
You don't need to explain. It's okay. It's
given
like
my choice, my choice.
just make sure.
Although I will say I can almost guarantee the food in Tulsa would be better. It's not like Belfast has
Yeah.
great food,
No, I agree. I don't
but
think
it
we've been
is a pretty
there.
amazing place.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. That's so
Kathy, I'll put in a request for Melbourne. I'd love to come to Melbourne. That
yeah,
would be
yeah. Jason would love to come to Melbourne too. So put that in request in before the next world tour because
yeah.
that's also bucket
Yeah.
list he wants to go to.
And yeah, Delinda, they need some Southern there. I mean, if any of you come, you let me know, and I'll put you right on the list for speaking.
Oh, I love it. Jason, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time away from your family and your kids. And it's funny when you were talking about your daughter, we had state baseball this last weekend. I was like, man,
Mm.
Jason gave way better advice than I told Jackson after he struck out. I was like, man, just get up and go out there and do better next time.
I've had those conversations too. I've had those conversations too. In that moment, it's kind of, but
Yeah, oh yeah.
sometimes I'm just like, yeah, you were late.
Yeah, you're right. Swing it
I mean,
under.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Dropped your elbow. Get
Like,
that crap together. Come on.
yeah, no kidding. Get out there and hit the ball, kid.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate you so much.
Thank
Um,
you guys.
we won't be on next Monday. So then the following Monday, Amy, I'm going to always ask you, and you might not have it in front of you. Do you know the topic for the Monday, the November 4th?
I have it. We're going to talk a little technology.
Yes.
We're going to do a little technology training.
Yeah. So if you're like me and you need help, please get on. We will all learn from someone other than me. We'll make sure good speakers for you. So thank you, Amy. Aaron Fluharty, do you have anything you want to add or anything before we close? If not, we will close out of here. I don't see anything yet. Okay. Well, we love you guys. We hope you have a great week. We hope your mind is right. When you start getting that negative self-thought, I can't get parties, can't get recruits, think about Jason in his mustard shirt telling you to take an action forward, right? and get your mind right because you can recruit, you can get parties, you can grow your business, you can get new customers. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you guys on Monday, November 4th. So see you guys later. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
Thank you
everybody.
guys.